Okay, gang, I'm going to throw some final assessments at you so you can kind of get a feel for how these things work. I'm hoping that my microphone isn't rubbing. Um, so these final assessments are what I'm looking for in your summative final assessment in your class. Again, the final assessment is the one big project, the one big activity that they do that shows you they learned everything in your class. So what is that final project going to look like? Demonstrates all those skills and those learning outcomes, okay? So I'm going to start with this one. This is a class on how to provide 10-star customer service to for, I think she's Verizon, so to a Verizon customer that calls in, okay? So in her 10-star service, she's taught them about customer types. She's taught them about how to deal with difficult customers, taught them some strategies for that. And now she's ready for this final assessment, okay? So she's got an overview, right? And the overview is you're going to demonstrate everything you learned in the course through a role play. And they're going to practice the 4 steps in the call flow. They're going to identify customers types, and they're going to use strategies for managing a difficult customer. Okay, so there's those learning outcomes. Okay, so then she goes down and now she goes into steps to completion. And now this is the critical part. Break it down into a process. Your learners are going to go step by step by step through building that final project until they're done. And you're going to give them these steps to help guide them through to that final project. So here she's got, your instructor is going to assign teams of 2 or 3 for the role play. In the week of the role play, the instructor is going to send scenarios out of just different customers to the teams. And so then the teams are going to have 2 sets of customer types per team, and the instructor is going to send out scenarios to each student. Don't share your scenario with your teammate because you're going to go through that scenario as a customer and they're not supposed to know who you are, right? So then you set up a time with your teammate to meet for an hour. One student plays one customer, and once they've completed the role play, they debrief. How did you do? Did you make the customer feel better? Did you handle their needs and their questions? And then they switch off. Then the other team member goes ahead and does the role play, and they do the same thing, okay? So they're going to, so then they switch the roles and they've completed everything. She's got a peer review worksheet, and I think I pulled that up. Let's take a look at it. Did I? No. Where is that thing? I swear I pulled it out. Maybe it's here. Yeah, here it is. So she has the peer review worksheet so that as you're going through the role play, she's got the peers grade each other, grade the other person doing the role play. Did they identify the customer type correctly? Did they acknowledge, did they go through the call flow, acknowledge the customer, find out what their need was, et cetera? And then additional comments. And then they went through a couple different kinds of customer types and so forth, okay? Now, there's technology involved. She's using a webinar tool, kind of like Zoom, like we use, and it's available, just so you know, it's available free inside of course sites. You can actually have your students go to webinars, and you can actually record what they say and do in there. So she's got a tutorial for how to do the role play using the webinar tool built into course sites. Then she has how you're going to submit your assignment. Okay, well, they're going to submit those peer review worksheets that they use to grade each other. And then she has assessment when they're submitted, okay? So this is one summative assessment, again, showing her that they've learned everything that she's taught them in the class, okay? Let me show you another one. I just want to show you a few just so that you start feeling more like hanging. Okay, here's one about, it's for teenagers and how to achieve their life. Oh no, it's not teenagers. This is for people who have traumatic brain injury and how to achieve their life goals, how to kind of turn their mindset around into more of a resilience mindset or a growth mindset, okay? So they've learned about the growth mindset. They've learned about how to kind of change their nutrition and their exercise. how to turn negative into positive, how to kind of journal and think through kind of their instant reactions so that they don't react instantly. They're more thoughtful about it, and they have more of a growth, that they have more control over their life. That's what a growth mindset is, right? So she gives them an overview. In this class, you're going to have a chance to think about growth mindset and how you're going to use it to achieve your goals, right? You take what you've learned. You've got eating goals. You've got growth mindset goals, exercise goals. Step one, there's many ways to think about and set life goals. Here's an example, Tony Robbins. You don't have to use Tony Robbins, but he's got some good little tips and tricks for you handling life goals, okay? So they take a look at that. And they're going to be using the Tony Robbins goal mapping worksheet to complete their life goals. There's many ways to do it. This is one, okay? So they pull that up, take a look at it. And if you look at the Tony Robbins growth mindset worksheet, there's the personal goals, there's achievements and experiences. What do you really want to do in life? What do you really want to achieve? And then there's your financial freedom, your financial goals, okay? So she's got this worksheet for them that they're going to complete. They're going to complete 3 sets of goals. They're going to work on their personal growth category. What are your goals for eating? What are your goals for exercising? What are your goals for managing your emotions? Okay, so that's the personal growth category. And then the achievement and experiences develop 1 goal. So they're going to do 3 in the personal growth, but only 1 in achievement and experiences, and it could be whatever goal they want. And 1 in the financial freedom, okay? So then they go through and they use this worksheet to do the eating goal, the exercise goal, and the emotional goal. And then again, they use the worksheet for a single goal for the achievement and a single goal for the financial freedom. And notice that this kind of walks them through how to kind of achieve that goal, you know, so that's what's great about this worksheet. So she's looking for here, and now here's her criteria and expectations. I want to see a completed worksheet with 3 goals around eating, exercise, and growth mindset. 1 goal for achievement, 1 goal for financial freedom. I'm looking for realistic action steps, okay? And then they submit their worksheet. And then she's going to be doing a rubric for how they get graded, okay? So this one's looking really good too. Final assessment, we've got 1 more. This is, let's see, this one is, this is an advisor, somebody who's an advisor at a university, and she has created a class teaching new advisors, people who are just coming on board, how to work with students to set their academic plan and get set up for success, right? So, you know, at the end of this course, you should be able to successfully guide a student through an action plan for program success. So now they're going to be practicing those skills as an academic advisor in a role play, again, a role play. So big final project. There's going to be, it's going to be 10 to 15 minutes long, and your mentor is going to debrief you. So they're going to have somebody who's a successful advisor mentoring them as they practice this welcome call, this beginning call. So you're going to set up a time with your mentor to have a live call. You're going to have Zoom ready to record the call. You'll be given a student file. So they're going to be given a student file to practice during their call, right? And so they've got that student file, and now they're going to start the practice, the role play. They have to communicate the FERPA and quality assurance statement, right? And then the mentor role plays as a new student and goes through all 5 success strategies. She's taught them these strategies, like how to, what's your technology like? What's your support system like? Your family and friends? What's your, how are your writing skills? So go through all the 5 success strategies, 10, 15 minutes max, and summarize the action plan with your students at the end, right? So that's the role play. And then after the call, they debrief with their mentor and just make sure that they checked off all that checklist. And then they debrief with how well they did. And then after the role play, they're supposed to email that student with, kind of summarizing what they talked about and being available to that student whenever. So there's 2 things they're doing, the role play and then the follow-up email, okay? And then here's the submission instructions, right? So they're going to submit, they're not going to submit the Zoom recording, but they're going to submit the notes taken and so forth. And then they're going to be evaluated with a rubric. Okay, so those are 3 examples of big final projects in the class. Again, write these final projects to your students. Talk to your students how to be successful in completing your final project. Don't talk to me. Don't go metacognite on me. Just be right there with your student and guide them step by step to completing that big final project, whatever it is. Okay? Hope that's helpful. You know where to find me. Thanks. Bye.